So much appreciate you joining me for just a few moments. I want to talk to you for a few moments just concerning the conduct of your life, the results that is coming from the way you've conducted your life. And I'm talking about your behaviors, your attitudes, your the order of things. So you have an order, you have patterns, you have routines. A lot of us don't realize the value of those routines, because what ends up happening is the fact that we get a routine in our life and we don't understand that that's more than just something that we kind of follow along. That becomes literally a rut, something that is easy to follow. It's an easy pattern to fall into where you don't change it. And there's so many times that our life is producing the same thing over and over and over. And the reason is because our routines are the same. And so as a result, it's producing again and again and again. Somebody say, how come it seems like I've been doing this for 10 years and I can't break out of this mindset? I'm no further ahead now than I was 10 years ago. Well, the reason is because you're doing the exact same things that you were doing 10 years ago. What you were doing then has produced where you are now. If you continued to do what you're doing now, in 10 years, you're going to find that you've had 2 decades of the same thing. It's so predictable. It really is. Success leaves a trail, so does failure. And so it's so important that you back up for just a second and take a look at yourself. Take a look at yourself. If I could just repeat what I said the other day, in golf, we learned something that is called muscle memory. It's a really interesting thought, as the fact that you swing the golf club and you get to where you swing it the exact same. Now, and that's why somebody who always has a slice, they have a slice, it'll always be a slice. And the reason is, and they can't break it because they've got muscle memory. They have grooved a swing that's producing the results. Don't get mad at the ball. The ball don't care. The ball's just simply going to do what you tell it to do. And so that's what ends up happening, is the fact that people have grooved their lives to where it produces where they're at right now. So you want to change where you're at right now. You don't like it. Maybe you would like to expand. What you're going to have to do is change your behaviors. You have to change what you listen to, change what you're doing. It's hard. Growth is easy, but development is hard. It's very difficult to stop doing what you've been doing because I'm so comfortable with it. I can do it without thinking. I can do it without even giving any thought. I can just sit down and do the exact same thing time after time after time. But when you start breaking into new areas to where you're having to learn new things, I'm just telling you something. My brain just stops working. It's like it freezes up when it gets under that kind of pressure. And it's hard for me to break out of the routines that I'm in. Do you understand what I'm saying? So where you are right now has been produced by something. And if you continue to do what you're doing, it'll continue to produce the same thing. I know that's simple. I know you know that, but it's so obvious and it's so important that you realize how that works. Some people, their life is in such chaos that they live from miracle to miracle. And can I just tell you this? It's not God's will for you to live from miracle to miracle. You know what miracles imply? You got problem after problem after problem, and you need a miracle after miracle. Abundance is what God has in mind for you. God wants you to walk in blessing. He's not interested in you just living. You come to a point, oh, dear God, we need a miracle. Oh, my God, things are falling apart. Somebody pray for us. We need a miracle. Well, that's not God's plan. You're moving from crisis to crisis. And you all of that comes from the planning mindset that you have. Do you understand what I'm saying? It becomes a planning mindset, and that's what it produces in your life. And you have to understand that many times, because of the planning, you get hit with things not that you're prepared for or equipped for. You get hit And suddenly you have a reaction mindset, not an action, but a reaction. I wake up in the morning and I go from one crisis to another. I've got this problem, that problem. Geesh, another problem. Here comes another one. There's another problem. And it's like I'm having to totally react to this and react to that, to where it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's so difficult. And I think everything, I feel that with everything, it has you in the mindset of jumping from one crisis to another, from one problem to another. And the reason is because you don't have structure and you don't have planning. You're going to have to say no to some things. You are. Your life pattern will produce a crisis mentality, and it'll run you absolutely right in the ditch. And we now I'll deal with crisis. If a crisis comes up, hey, I'll deal with that. But the fact is I shouldn't be jumping from one crisis to another. My life is more than that. My goal is for my life to be in order, my life to live in peace. If something comes up, I'll deal with it when it comes up. But if things are continually wrong, if I'm continually having this problem over and over and over, that suggests to me that the problem is not outside, the problem is inside. We have such a tendency to live from the outside in rather from the inside out. And I want to just say that you need to take control over your day, over your decisions. Set the pattern for your life, and don't jump from one crisis to another. If a crisis arises, you don't even have to get to it right now, but set it in its place to where you can deal with it. You know, I think there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of appointments, but you know, a lot of things that we do is just creating movement in our life, and pretty soon we're so exhausted, and then this goes wrong, so we have a crisis here, and that goes wrong, we have a crisis there. I want to just encourage you to slow down. I want to encourage you just to maybe shut things off for a while. I think that's very important. Sometimes you know, there's been some times when I've had some problems with my phone, and it's a good phone, but it frees up or something like that. And they would say to me, they'd try to fix it. And I said, just turn it off. Turn it off and turn it back on and see if it resets. And there's sometimes you've got so much activity, you push so many buttons that your life just freezes up. I mean, you're just, you know, you're like a deer in the headlights. Something comes up and you're thinking, you know, this is the world, you know, one crisis, dear God, I need, you know, pretty soon you almost need medicated just to kind of keep your head from running off with you. But you need to come to the place that you're dealing with things on purpose. Plan your day, set your goals in order, bring out what your expectation is about what you need to get done that day, and stick with it. I strongly suggest that you maybe shut off, of course, with the exception of this program, you need to shut off a lot, sometimes the social media, you need to shut off the television, you need to shut off the telephone where people calling you. Let me just tell you something. Time wasters sometimes come in the sweetest packages. In other words, people are so sweet, but they call you up and they've wasted all their time. So what they do is call you up to waste your time. And you can be on the phone. There's been times when I have been on the phone with people, and it's like I didn't cut it off, and it was like by the time they were finished, I was whipped. I was so exhausted and almost just angry. You know, they just go on and on and on and on and on. And there are some people that do that. They just waste your time. I've told our people this a lot of times. There's 4 kinds of people: those that add, those that subtract, those that multiply, and those that divide. And there's a lot of people today, and even in your life, you know, it's the truth, those that add to you. You get around them, suddenly you feel like something more. I feel stronger than I did a while ago. But then there's some that subtract rather. And what they do is by the time they finish with it, you feel drained. I mean, you can feel it. It literally is a tangible feeling. You can feel it. And so, you know, it's important that you understand that who the people are And let me just say this: it may be necessary, and I say this with a right attitude, but it may be necessary for you to close the door on some relationships. There are some relationships that are simply not healthy for you. They're not. They affect you in a negative way. They steal your time. Many of you, they steal your money. Of course, if they steal your time, to control a man, you control his time. That's period, right there. If you want to control someone, you control their time. Time is the one thing that you can't get more of. I'm just telling you, $1 million is not going to buy you another second of time. You're going to have to realize how important that is and protect it. Now, I'm not talking about being ridiculous about it, but because there are times when you need to make investments in other areas. Sometimes you have to make investments in fields that don't look like it's going to produce. But sometimes you just make that investment. It's a gut feel. I think there's something of value here, and I'm willing to invest myself into that. But you have to understand the importance of your time and look at the effects. See, here's the deal. Don't look at the cause, or don't look at what you're doing necessarily right now. Look at the effects. Is that what you want? Is this producing what you want? In other words, you walk across a crop of field, a crop of things that have been planted, and you see nothing but watermelons, and you're thinking, well, I didn't want watermelons. I wanted tomatoes. Well, seriously, you have to think, is this what I want? Is the life I'm living now, is this the thing that I really, really want? And if the answer is no, then you're going to have to change the behavior that got that put in the ground and how you've watered it and cared for it. Because what you do is going to produce something in your life. So anyway, that's a long way around just to say it's not God's will that you just live from crisis to crisis and miracle to miracle. God wants you to walk with a sense of peace, a sense of illumination, a sense of abundance. I mean, that's just He doesn't want me just reacting all the time. Listen, you would be nutty if you just had to sit and react all the time. Well, I don't even know what's going to happen here. Boom! Now, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to have to fix this. That's a reaction. But you need to have the mindset of planning, of preparing, making decisions, setting things in order, pruning away that which I don't want, embracing that which I do want. Behaviors are going to produce something. What you do never leaves you where you are. Well, unless what it does is solidify where you are. Now, but if you're in a hole and you don't want to be there, you don't want to just do things that's just going to pack more mud around your feet to keep you in that spot. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to look and say, I want that, and begin to change my behavior. You want to lose weight, you're going to have to change what you're eating. You are. If you want to gain some little muscle mass, you're going to have to make a difference in what you're doing with that. You want relationships, you're going to have to do the things that are necessary to produce relationships in your life. Business, if your business is failing, there's a reason. Do you understand this? If your life is failing, there's a reason. If you can't keep friends, there's a reason. If you're always broke, there's a reason. You understand that? And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be, I've always said, be lovingly honest with other people, but be brutally honest with yourself. Now that is so important, and it's hardest to do because we're so deceived. I am like my dearest friend and my greatest fan. Now, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to be brutally honest with you and say, that stinks. That's terrible. Dear God, that's awful. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be honest with myself, and then I'm going to have to make the decision. Then what do I need to do to produce what I want? So that I think that's very important. Change the pattern of your life to take you there. Once you change the pattern, you'll suddenly begin to live in a mindset of abundance. And I promise suddenly you'll be in control. You won't be jumping. To jump from crisis to crisis, to jump from miracle to miracle, usually is a mindset of panic. Well, I don't care who you are. A crisis hits you. You can be the coolest dude in town, but when a crisis hits you, it'll knock you flat-footed. It will. Suddenly there's fear, there's anxiety, there's apprehension that's connected that when crisis happens. So you're going to have to, if you want to change the lifestyle that produces that crisis mindset, you're going to have to, the way you change that is by setting predictability to your life, by planning your life better, planning your day, setting your goals, working your plan. When you get up in the morning, do the same thing, produce what you want to produce, go through the day, go home at night, and I strongly suggest that you be strong enough that you try to go to bed at night at the same time. Try to get up in the morning at the same time. Set some realistic goals, patterns for your life to take you where you want to go. All right. Well, that's what's in my heart, and I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's very important, and I felt like that was a word for you today. I do want to say thank you for being with me. Thank you for your friendship, your kindness to me. Please push like, push share, push subscribe. I would deeply appreciate that. But I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. So you have a wonderful and blessed and planned and prepared evening. All right. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.